So we are three academic midwives from the University of East Anglia. I'm Dr Georgina Sosa, but you can call me Gina.
I'm Caine.
And my name is Ruth Sanders.
We have two things in common. One, we're all academic midwives, so we are midwives, but we specialise in academia. And then secondly, we have all been working towards a PhD. So I have mine. Ella nearly has hers. She's going to be handed in any moment. And Ruth is going to be starting a PhD at any time now. So we're going to be telling you a little bit about our experiences of how we've come into academia. So we're going to start with you, Ella. Okay. Tell us about your journey to academia.
So I guess my journey came through a great opportunity about 11 years ago, where the UEA was asking clinical midwives if they were interested in developing their teaching skills, interested in a new experience. And so I applied for that and I was successful in getting that. I had just finished a master's, which stood me in good stead. I had been a midwife probably for about, I'm thinking about probably like 10 years before that, but I had always been a midwife who was puzzled by things that I saw around me. So I worked clinically and I always wanted to know, why did that happen, or why did women react in that way, or why did midwives do that? My master's at the UEA, and that was on how midwives undertake something called physiological third stage management. So that's how midwives look after women when they're having in labour, around the time when the women are delivering their placenta. So I really wanted to look and see about that. I think that was probably an advantage in applying for the job, and it's just continued from there. And what I found about being an academic midwife was that it gave me, because I still have a clinical post, but what it did was to give me a lot of space to have some really focused searches, looking into things, looking into problems that I didn't really know the answers for, despite being quite an experienced midwife. So it's a different environment being in academia. I link it very much to my clinical position. So I tend to think of myself as being a midwife first, and then I practice in different areas. So going and doing this PhD, another great opportunity that came up to get a PhD studentship from the University of East Anglia. And I was successful in getting that and developed a question which is about midwifery-led care. So I looked into how midwives give care to women in those particular environments which are led by midwives, for women who've had straightforward pregnancies or women who are expected to have no complications. And as I said, you know, everything that I do feeds into this core idea of me being a midwife, and I use it in all of the settings that I'm working in.
Thanks, Ella. What about you, Ruth?
So it's interesting actually listening to Ella, even though I know her journey a little bit, because midwifery was my third degree, and you know, the idea of all these different types of learning feeding in. So my journey to be an academic in terms of midwifery was that I, once I'd qualified, I always knew I was interested in research, and I had really great support from my academic advisor while I was a student at UEA, who encouraged me to publish in the areas that I was really passionate about, which at the time was breech. So breech birth and the philosophy around how we manage as midwives in that particular instance in practice. And that really gave me a taste for writing, and I went on to do quite a few more publications. And then at the same time as that, I became an associate tutor. So I came and delivered some sessions on complex childbirth throughout one of the modules that was running for the undergraduate midwifery degree. And I really loved teaching, and I taught in different capacities before. I've taught arts-based practice and things like that, and it was really a chance for me to be able to share my passion for midwifery in a really different way. So I was doing that while I was in clinical practice, and I think it really fed into how I wanted to welcome students into the clinical area as well. And because I was quite recently qualified myself, I could remember what that felt like and all of those kinds of things. And then I was lucky enough to get an entry-level research grant, so a scholarship from a charity called Wellbeing of Women. And I was supported in that by the Professor of Midwifery at UEA, which was a wonderful project. And just like Ella has explained, it was a passion of mine, looking at decision making and what processes women go through to make decisions about their own labour and birth. And that was just a wonderful project. So I felt very lucky to do that. And it was one of the things I could find as a recently qualified. So I started that when I was a band 5, because I knew I was really interested in research and academia, but didn't really know where to go, because there wasn't very much unless you had been a midwife for a very long time, and that really wasn't me. So I felt really fortunate to have done that. And then the opportunity came up to join the teaching team, and I was lucky enough to get that position. So, and I'm still very excited about teaching, and also about the integration of teaching and learning and practice, like Ella said, and being able to try and bridge that gap between theory and practice for students, and exploring some of my previous degrees around arts and humanities practice and how that can make us sensitive, compassionate, emotionally competent practitioners. So yes, as Gina said, I'm aspiring to do a PhD at the moment. It's a long-term goal of mine, and it's lovely to be around other midwives who are very open about sharing ideas and facilitating that journey sort of further, which has been lovely. So fingers crossed, hopefully I might get the funding and find the right question and all of that stuff. But it's very much a part of my midwifery future, I hope. So yeah, that was me. How about you, Gina?
Well, my interest in academia started when I was a junior midwife, and in London I was seeing many women with female genital mutilation. So I knew that I needed something to help me with research, to be a more critical analyzer about what was good evidence and be able to do risk assessments, so that it would help me, which it did actually, help me with a colleague actually open up a special clinic for women with female genital mutilation. So I really enjoyed doing the masters. That's what helped me to become a critical thinker. And then during my career, and it's been 24 years now, so it's been quite a long one, I've been a clinical midwife, I've been a manager, I've been a governance midwife, and by the end of that I started having questions, and something I was very passionate about was one-to-one care in labour. And that's when you have one midwife to one woman in labour, not one midwife looking after various women, but one woman. I wanted to know, what does that look like? What activities happen in the labour room when you have that that relationship? And that's what I did. I started a PhD. So I got funding for 4 years to do it. It actually took me 7 because it was part-time, because I was working, but it was the fantastic journey. And I had some of the best moments of my career there, just watching birth, midwives with women in this unique time in their lives with their partners. And it was absolutely fabulous. And I would really recommend midwives that want to go into academia to think about PhDs. What I can say to everybody that's listening and watching this video, obviously you have to have a certain amount of intellect to do this type of study, but we are normal people, and we are really passionate about midwifery, and that's what's got us to this stage. And now, when you've got that amount of experience and you've been able to critically look at research and have this and actually do research, it does make you want to share that experience. So I think in academia now, having this opportunity after my PhD finished, I can now teach students and share all that experience that I have now. And actually, we're having close liaisons with the trusts, the hospital trusts and community. It helps keep us up to date as well. So the student tutor relationships keeps both of us up to date. It's really fantastic, and it's so exciting because we are teaching the future generation of midwives. So what can be better than that? From my perspective, I think you two will agree. What do you think?
Yes,
Definitely.
I think it's such a great opportunity because, you know, it is a different perspective when you're teaching from when you're working clinically. I do like having my clinical links, but I do also really get a lot of value. I think there's a lot of value in being immersed in thinking about where you want midwifery to go and how you can maybe in a small way influence that through your teaching, and seeing students come right at the beginning, maybe not always with a completely accurate understanding of what midwifery is, which is fine, but then go on and develop their skills and develop their confidence, and to think about those midwives being people that you're going to be working alongside. And I think that's excellent. And I can say that after 20 years of being a midwife, I still know that it's the thing for me.
And that's
having all the different types of midwives, isn't it? Actually, it's that really exciting moment when there are so many different opportunities, and the chance to be part of that person's journey is such a privilege. You know, it's like what happens in clinical practice, being part of that educational journey and really seeing, you know, we've all got our own areas that we're very passionate about, and seeing that sort of unfurl in the students that we're around is really exciting.
So I hope everybody's found that helpful. That's academia.
Bye.